5 years from now, how many of these 1,000 people you expect to be alive? In 5 years or after 5 years? How many do you think? Yeah, 875 of them are alive. But of those, 15% are going to die uh, in year 6. Um, yeah, so that means you're going to have 875 times 15%, which is going to be 131.25 people. Okay. Um, that means probability of dying in year 6. Um, oh, let's, let's make it even easier. I don't want to write a formula to confuse you guys. Okay, out of 1,000, 875 were alive. No, after 5 years. But after 6 years, 850 were alive. Is that correct? If I follow these people, after 5 years, 875 of them were still alive. Given that probability of dying in 6 years is 15%, after 6 years, 850 are going to alive. That means on year 6 alone, 25 people died out of 875. Okay. And what is that probability? That's 2.85%. That's the conditional probability of dying on the 6th year. Provided that you didn't die uh, until year 5, the probability that you're going to die is 2.85, which means, we can construct these starting year 1. Consider how I calculated this probability. I calculated probability of t plus 1 minus probability of t, right? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's going to be the same. I calculated 1 minus probability of t. That's how many survives until 5 years. Of course, this is and I divided that by 1 minus probability of t. That's basically, in a sense, the transition probability, okay? Or the conditional probability of, or I should say, marginal probability of dying on that year. What we call it doesn't matter. So let's get an Excel sheet going, because once we know those probabilities, we can attach it to the expected cash flows, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Okay, let me actually start a new blank sheet on this one. So let's do one of those tables. I'm going to do 1 to 15. If you have a bond with a maturity greater than 15, well, you're going to have to get the probabilities for those. In many cases, you can estimate them, but that's beyond the scope of this class. This is cumulative probability of death. And I'm going to go ahead and read it from here, from single B, 237, 484. Of course, let me make these percentages so I can write them directly. Okay, let's use my memory. 237, 484, 677. I'm not. What's going on here? I don't like Windows 11. On Windows 10, when I do Control Tab, Alt Tab, it switches to the one before. Now it's asking me. Oops. 237, 484, 677. That's why I didn't like it, that I could only get it as a picture. 814, 927. 1029, 1098. This is what getting old does to you. 10 years ago, I could have kept 5 of those numbers in my head and type it. Now I can barely do 2 or 3. 1171, 446. I know precise numbers don't matter, but 1319, 1393. Uh, 1444, 1486. 1532, 1566. All right. Let's call this marginal. Well, we already know probability of not dying that year is that, right? And on year 2, I'm going to take the difference between probability of death within 2 years minus probability of death within 1 year and divide that by 1 minus probability of death within 1 year. 2 digits is good enough. So if you haven't already died in year one, the chances you're going to die in year two is 236, 256, I'm sorry. All I have to do is do that. Do you actually see kind of a pattern? Sometimes this is called the hazard function, uh, the rate at which you're going to die within a certain year. If any of you guys are taking any advanced insurance classes,